Hi everyone, Dr. Wildey back for the last time with All-State Etude number 3 for Contrabassoon. This is number 89 in the book, The Allegretto. I think with this one overall, the most important thing is, even though we have this tempo marking of the 8th note being 108 to 120, try not to lose track of that dance feeling. 3/8 time tends to be a little bit lighter, a little bit more dance-like, and so sometimes we can just play a little bit too heavy, especially as contrabassoonists, because usually we're that low end. Try to really think about a little bit lighter overall, despite the forte dynamic. Now you'll notice, unlike Etude number 2, this only has that forte written in. There's a lot of wiggle room in here where if we want to change some of our dynamics up, we can definitely do that. In this etude, like within the last one, Etude number 2, there are some high notes in here where we may have to search for some fingerings that work best for our instrument. You can see on the 3rd line of music that we do have a high A, and that is thankfully the highest that we go for this. In video number 2, we talked a little bit about that high A fingering, but again, the IDRS forum is a fantastic resource for you to be able to find fingerings. For this one, I would say, again, just really be subdividing, but try to keep that light kind of in one feel overall so we don't get too bogged down. Let's go ahead and play through this, and then we can talk about a couple of technique things. That etude, despite it being very lyric, it's also very technical. A lot of these high notes, approaching them, there's kind of crazy fingers that we have to do to execute these notes on this particular instrument. And the best thing that I can say is be careful that you are not getting very tense hands, which easier said than done, right? When we are uncomfortable, we tend to get more tense. But all contrabassoons are very guilty of percussion. If our fingers get a little bit too aggressive. So if you start to hear some extra percussion, maybe think, do I have to be squeezing quite as much? What I tend to find with some of the technique, especially when we're looking at the 4th line of music where we have a few more accidentals in the upper register, we tend to squeeze really hard with our left hand. So our thumb starts to get tense and it creates tension in the rest of our hand. As much as you can, think about a nice curved shape to your fingers. Thinking curved often helps to keep our fingers closer, and that improves our technique. Whereas if you just tell yourself to keep your fingers close, sometimes there's a disconnect. So practice a nice curved C shape. And you may have noticed that some of the places where we go up to the high notes where there's legatos, like in the 3rd line of music, 2nd to last measure, and in the 1st measure of the 4th line of music, I backed away from those. We don't want to push up to those high notes because it almost makes it sound like a downbeat then. And also by backing off a little bit, we can kind of float up to it and make sure that we're not doing the thing that we said to avoid in the other etude, which is over-focusing our air. Sometimes if we push too hard to those upper notes, we have a tendency to really focus our air, and then it won't speak or it squawks on us. If you think about floating up to those upper notes and backing away from them slightly, it makes it a bit more musical and it makes it easier to play. With this one overall, it's about trying to get that tension out of your fingers so that they can move more smoothly between some of these more complex fingerings in the upper register. But again, if you focus more on that lyric kind of dance style to this overall, trying to feel it a little bit more in 1 than in 3, you'll have a gorgeous etude that will be fun to play and fun to listen to. I wish you the best of luck, and I really hope to hear some of you playing these etudes.